Bonjour. I'm very happy to be with you tonight, even though I would prefer to be with you in person. I'm grateful to have the opportunity to talk to you about French 1 and what the year is going to look like for your student. So today I'm going to talk a little bit about myself and then what we do in class, what we learn in class, and how are the ways you can support your students throughout this journey of learning French. So I'm going to switch to a presentation. A little bit about me. I'm born in Paris and I grew up in southern France. I lived 6 years in Germany because my husband is German. And I've been living in the Bay Area for 23 years now. I studied pharmacy in France and I worked as a pharmacist in Germany. And then when we moved to the United States, I decided to get my teaching credential at Santa Clara University, and I have been teaching French for 15 years now at Homestead. I have taught all the levels, 1 through AP, and this year I teach French 1 and French 5 AP, so both extremes, which is a lot of fun. I have 2 daughters. My oldest one, Caroline, is 25, and she's leaving next week actually to Germany to start her master. And Melanie has been living in Germany for 4 years, or 3.5 now, and she studied to be a nurse and is working as a nurse now in Germany. Both my daughters are very different, and one was very independent and did all her work independently at Homestead because they went both to Homestead, and the second one needed a lot of support from us and from the school. So I have that experience as a parent to have different daughters, and it really helped me to understand better my students as a teacher. And I always keep that in mind when I teach with my students. And my goal with all my students is to help them reach their highest potential. And I know that all students are different, and I take them where they are, and I try to support them as much as I can, and according to their needs. So this is really something that I always keep in mind. So one thing that is very important for me is, of course, to teach French, and we are going to talk a little bit more about that in a second, but it's also to teach them to be effective learners and to teach them to effective strategies to learn. So we do a lot of self-evaluation in class. We talk about how to learn effectively because, again, each student is different and they have different way of learning. So we try to find strategies and ways that are effective for them. And also I always encourage them to ask for help. It's very, very important. It's important when we're in person at school, but it's even more important when we are remote, because we are so far away from each other, and a good communication and know where and when to ask for help is absolutely crucial, I think, to succeed. So this is something that I really talk about a lot in class. But how about French? So in French 1, students are going to communicate about a range of familiar topics using basic vocabulary. So we'll talk about likes and dislikes, classes, family, what you do in your free time, a little bit of shopping, ordering food in a restaurant. So really the basic skills. With a small set of vocab and grammar, but that is really, really important. Most of the time we are going to talk about the present, and second semester we'll talk about the future, what we are going to do next weekend, for example, and a little bit about the past. And everything that they will learn in French 1 is going to be the base for French 2, French 3, so it's really important to have a strong base so they can build on it. So this is what we are going to work on. It's the level A1 in language. For the material, we have a book. The textbook is called Bien dit 1. It's a red book that I hope you have seen. You have seen on the desk of your students. We use it all the time. I also want them to have a notebook, because I will always try to have moments where they have to write by hand and not only on the computer, because students spend so much time on the computer that sometimes I'm going to ask on purpose to complete something on paper, scan it or take a picture and then submit that work. Because research shows that when you write by hand, sometimes you pay more attention to the spelling and to the word, and it's easier to memorize or understand the structure of a sentence. So we will do that. We'll do work online, but also on a notebook. If you have a printer that's useful, if I have a packet, I can give an electronic copy of the packet, but it's not a must. And I don't know if you have seen the emails, but we have every week we have distribution tables where we can give material to the students. So if I have a packet that I really want students to have, either I will ask them to print it or to come and get it at distribution day. So it's not a problem at all. I will also try to use as much authentic material as possible, not something that is done for students, but material like advertisement or short articles or pictures with some text that is made by French speakers for French speakers. And we are going to develop our skills of recognizing the few words that we know and try to understand the meaning with the context and with some words that we know. So this is also a very important skill because we never know all the words. We have to guess and we have to develop that critical thinking skill. If all of you have signed the syllabus, so you might have noticed that our categories, it's a grading system, and the categories are not your traditional test, quiz, project, homework, participation. Everything is graded by skills. Speaking skill, writing, listening, and reading, because that's everything that we do when we learn a language. And we have a last category with effective effort, which includes are they on time in class, do they participate, or are they doing something else? To be honest, sometimes it's really hard to know if the students are paying attention to me or if they have a second screen. Are they listening to something else? It's really, really hard for me to know. And if you notice something like that, something going on where they have a second screen or watching something while being in class but not paying 100% attention, it would be very helpful for me to communicate that with me and maybe talk to your students, because if they are multitasking, then it's not effective. I think so for each chapter, we will have short quizzes, and then at the end of the chapter, we'll have a summative assessment that will most of the time be in the form of a project where they can show me everything that they have learned so far. For quizzes, for some of them, most of them, they can retake a part of the quiz if the grade is below 80%. But for a summative assessment at the end of the chapter, there is no retake. So this is what I'm explaining here is something that is common for all the French teachers. We are 3 French teachers at Homestead, and we do the same. We collaborate a lot, so students won't be surprised when they go to the next level because they will have the same setting. For homework, they will always have homework, and late credit is accepted. Partial credit is accepted for late work, and they will always find the homework in the homework folder, which is organized like you see on that picture. So for each day there is a folder, they can click on it, and then they have the link for all the work. And I have to speed up because I have 1 more minute left. Something that is really important to notice is that if you go to the gradebook, and I think parents have access to the gradebook, you can see that here students, in that case, the student did the homework, it's an A+, all the points. Here it's incomplete. Incomplete means I received the work, but it's not done according to the instructions, or something is missing. So I will send back the work, and they can resubmit it. And when you see a 0 with missing, then it means that the work is not done. And this little hyphen here is that I did not grade the work, so you don't know. But please, please, please look always at the comments, because that's a main way of communication between me and the students and also the parents. So the last slide is, how can you support your student in French? So you don't need to speak French to be supportive. You can ask your student to teach you some of the words and phrases that they are learning to help them practice. Or you can watch a French movie with English subtitles, or listen to French music. You can check in to make sure that they are finishing their homework and that they don't have questions. And if they do, encourage them to contact me, and that they are studying for their quizzes and tests. And lastly, you can encourage them to go to bed early and come in class in time. And finally, I just want to thank the PTSA for their help. They are supporting the teachers a lot, and all the contribution that you make to the PTSA goes directly back to us. So at the beginning of the year, they gave us some fund that we can use however we want, just to support us in this virtual environment that is new for us. And maybe last year when we planned the budget, we didn't plan for some items. So now we have that fund, and it's really, really helpful. So thank you for your contribution to the PTSA, and thank you for the PTSA to be so generous. And I'm over 10 minutes, but thank you very much. If you have any question, please contact me. Don't hesitate to send me an email, and I will always answer within 24 to 48 hours. And otherwise, thank you very much, and au revoir. Merci.